Once, when I was looking for a particular piece of wood to finish a project, my daughter said to me, sometimes you just got to wait, the right piece of wood will come along, and then you'll just know that that's the piece you need. And sometimes it's the other way round. You look at a piece of wood and it tells you what it wants to be made into. There's something about it that suggests what it's going to be best used for. And this is one of those situations. Today I'm going to clean off all the muck and the varnish and stain off the old drop leaf table leaf that I've got here and see what I can make of it. I'm using a metal cabinet scraper to scrape the varnish off the wood. First across the grain, which does a sort of coarser cut, and then turning it round and going along the grain, which takes off finer shavings and leaves a smoother surface. You can hear the difference in the sound of the scraper when it goes along the grain. And here you can see that lovely rich swirling pattern exposed, and you can start to see what the eventual thing is going to look like once it's all waxed and polished. Nice to hear the birds singing, keeping me company here while I'm scraping away. And here's what I mean about the wood telling you what it wants to be. You can see that the tabletop was made out of 3 distinct strips of wood joined together, and the middle section is a much nicer grain than the 2 side pieces. So I think I'm going to just take a strip out of the middle and then make something of this long narrow strip of oak with the nice swirly grain pattern on it. I'm going to skip forward a bit here because you don't want to sit there and watch me sawing. So here I am with the central piece, and I'm just going to plane up the edges so to get rid of all this rough saw cuts and make it a nice smooth straight edge on both sides. I think I'm going to make this into a little bench, a little 3-foot bench, a bit like the old wooden school forms we used to have years ago. So I'm going to need to put some runners along underneath it to attach the legs to. I need to find a couple of pieces of wood. I've got this long piece with tenons on the end that was part of an old coffee table. I may be able to use this in the new bench. Here I've been lucky enough to find a couple of runners that were off an old coffee table, and they've already got some holes drilled in that I might be able to utilise to fix it to the seat part of my new bench. I want to drill pilot holes for the screws to fix these runners to the bottom edge of the bench seat, but I don't want to go right through the top and make holes into the top surface, so I set the drill so that it just pokes through the holes, as you can see. I use a special counterbore drill bit that not only drills a hole for the screw, but it also drills a little parallel hole that I can put a plug of oak in on top of the screw head to hide it. And here are some of the little wooden plugs that I use to cover up the screw heads. These are cut using a special plug cutter, just from little offcuts of oak that I've left over from other projects. Slight change of plan here, because as the holes are already in the wood, unfortunately the sockets weren't really quite the right size to put the oak plugs into, so they don't just hammer in and stay there like they should do. I'm going to have to set them in with glue, but it'll all work out in the end, as you'll see. I've got the legs from the old coffee table, which have already got the holes cut in them, and with a bit of adapting I think I can use them for my bench.